numerous times, and I've seen what's going on in Nashville. I've heard a lot of stories from Ed Grace about Mayor Dean's leadership capabilities and what he did during the flood. I think, Ed, did you tell me he had 10,000 volunteers on the street right just after the flood, and you realize that the flood was a major setback for Nashville. Since that time, the mayor he was also there during the Depression, not the Depression, but the Recession. It felt like a depression up here too as well. And which is also troubling times, and being able to survive in that atmosphere speaks volumes. And of course, the flood of 2010, which I just mentioned to you, we all know the devastation that it was and how it's come roaring back in Nashville. And prior to his service, he was a public defender in Nashville, so he knows law, and he's probably quite capable of representing anybody in any case. And he was law director in Nashville from 1999 to 2007. And it's my pleasure, Mr. Dean, to introduce Karl Dean, Governor.
Well, thank you all for being here, and it's great to have Michael Briggs as the chair here, and it's wonderful to have the convenience of two Mayor Lynches. Thank you, Mayor Lynch. I wish all counties could kind of get it together that well. It's good to be with you. So I'm running for governor, and let me tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm doing that. I served, as was mentioned, as mayor of Nashville from September of 2007 to September of 2015. And before that, I was the elected public defender for Nashville. Then I was the director of law, which essentially means you run the law department, about 35 lawyers, and you're sort of involved pretty intimately with the city affairs. But when I was elected mayor in September, I started off on the 2 terms that we allow people to serve in Nashville. And I had 2 very different terms. My first term was I get elected in September, and then by probably the spring of 2008, the country is into the Great Recession. And that meant that we had to make some tough decisions. I ran for mayor with really clear priorities. I wanted to work on public education, public safety, and economic development. You know, the recession meant that we had to make decisions about how do we balance the budget, how do we keep the city moving forward at the same time. So what we did is we made a lot of cuts. We cut almost every department 15 to 20%, including my own, but we didn't cut public education, we didn't cut public safety, and we didn't stop working on economic development. It was during the recession that we built the convention center, that was a huge catalyst for more development in Nashville and a real kick in the arm for the tourist industry in Nashville. We were very active in business recruitment and retention, but we remained true to those priorities. But they were tough. There were tough times, as everyone knows. And then on top of that, in 2010, on May 1st, we had the flood. I don't know why we keep calling these things the Great Recession, the Great Flood. They weren't so great. We had this flood that was probably the worst natural disaster in Nashville in 75 years. 11 of our citizens died. We had about $2 billion in private property damage and hundreds of millions in public property damage. But you know, the story to me will always be the recovery and how the people in Nashville reacted. We had people helping their neighbors. We had people helping strangers. We had really, in a matter of 2 weeks, we had about 20,000 people out on the streets helping the city get back up on its feet. And that's, to me, will always be the story. By the end of my first term, we were coming out of the recession. You know, things started happening, like the show Nashville came to the city. The New York Times called us the It City. The tourism boom started, you know, with cranes everywhere for hotels being built and new restaurants. Businesses were relocating, and we had cranes and get more cranes coming in. And it was just a different time. And so my second term was, we weren't rolling in money, but it was the boom. And it's continued to this day. And so I always tell people, if you get to be mayor for 2 terms, my advice is take the tough one first and have a more enjoyable one second. And so when I left office, I've been teaching at Belmont University, political science, history, a little bit of law. And I decided to run for governor because I think the people of Tennessee want a governor who's going to be moderate, pragmatic, common sense, kind of get it done approach, not an ideologue. someone who's more concerned about moving the state forward than advancing some political cause. To me, my experience as mayor, I think, is a good one. We've had two mayors serving as governor, Governor Haslam, then before that, Governor Bredesen, of different parties. But I think they both benefited, like I think I do, from coming from a background where when I ran for mayor, I didn't run in a partisan race. I had to get Democrats, Republicans, and independents to vote for me. And then when you're mayor, as you guys know, you don't do it. You're not thinking of the party, you're in. You're thinking of how are you gonna move the city forward? How are you gonna move the county forward? How are you gonna make life better? How are you gonna make the future better? And so for me, there's a famous quote from Mayor LaGuardia in New York who once said, there's no Democrat or Republican way of filling a pothole. People just want the pothole filled. People want to see the government work. And if there's not a better example of that than what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. I mean, people want to see government work instead of the Washington way of doing things. I think the issues that people are really concerned about are first, public education. To me, that is the broad, big thing that Tennessee has to get right. I think Tennessee has so much going for us. If we get the education part right, we'll be in great shape. We need to be a state that has, we're producing more college graduates, but at the same time, we got to recognize not everybody's going to get a 4-year degree. There'll be lots of people who want to take a different approach. So we need to have the technical schools, we need to have vocational programs, apprenticeship programs, so that people who choose to go that route can get a good job and support a family. I think it's important that we support our teachers. I think it's absolutely critical that all parts of the state are paying their teachers enough so that we can retain them. I mean, one of the big challenges that rural Tennessee faces, or small town Tennessee faces, is that they lose teachers to bigger districts. That you can go down the road and make $10,000 more, and it's particularly tough to keep teachers with advanced science, advanced math, and we need to make sure that every part of the state is getting great teachers. I also would think the economy and jobs is always important. Having been a mayor during a recession when things really went south, I know that it's important to have a strong private sector that's producing jobs, creating opportunities, allowing people to get ahead in life. I think that's key, and then that creates the revenue you need to do the things such as schools and health that are so vital. And the other issue that I think is on everybody's mind is healthcare. I think it was a huge mistake for the legislature not to have done the Medicaid expansion. Yes. We have given up about $3.5 billion in money that could have been used to make healthcare accessible to people who are low income, aging, people with pre-existing conditions, people with disabilities. And we've turned that money down, and that money's not being saved for us. It's being spent states all around the country, and states right near us, Kentucky, Indiana. And so what that results in is people don't go to the doctor or to the hospital and seek medical treatment because they're afraid to incur the bills. Or people go and they face bankruptcy and financial ruin. Or they go and they can't pay the bills and there's no reimbursement for the hospitals, and the hospitals suffer. Tennessee is now second to Texas in the number of hospitals that have closed in recent years. We have 10. One just closed 2 weeks ago. Be the 10th. And there are other hospitals that are getting close to that. And what happens when a hospital closes, what does that do to a community? Well, on a very human level, what it does is, if you have appendicitis or you have a heart attack, the hospital's 40 minutes away or 30 minutes away. And whatever emergency treatment you're going to get is probably going to either be in a helicopter, maybe, or it's going to be in the back of an ambulance. And so it puts people at risk. But then you also have the whole sense that people are going to be less likely to stay in a community because it's mostly rural and small towns that the hospitals have closed in. You're less likely to stay there if there's no hospital, particularly as they age. And then people are less likely to move in, and then businesses are less likely to invest. And then you got to take into the equation that the hospital in many places is one of the largest employers, usually after the schools in a small community. So I think the next governor has got to be an advocate for the state, advocate for people having access to health care. If Medicaid is available, expansion is available, we should do it. We should look for creative ways to find ways for public-private partnerships to perhaps work on this issue. You know, I'm very encouraged by the kitchen I saw today. I mean, one of the great things about the kitchen, I think, is it plays a real positive role in health, encouraging people to eat healthier, as I enjoy my fried chicken and my meatloaf and everything else, which I did. But it you know, having cooking classes, encouraging people to eat healthier is one of the key things we need to do in Tennessee. I mean, if you look at all of our different health measuring points, whether it's breast cancer or whether it's diabetes or heart disease, we rank in the bottom 10 in the bad way. And you know, we're not going to improve our health financial picture as long as we are, you know, not living healthier. And so working on preventive health is key too. Look, this is a great state. I can now say I've been to Mountain City, to Memphis. Was in Mountain City this morning, and it is a beautiful place that is filled with lots of great natural resources and wonderful people. I mean, I think one of the things we need to do is always make sure we preserve Tennessee and keep it a beautiful place to live, keep the things that make people want to live here, the strong natural beauty of the place. But we got a lot going for us, and I think this state's future, you know, its best days are still to come. But to get there, we got to take care of the basics, which is education, jobs, and healthcare, and we can do that. The campaign so far has been going great. Feel very good about it. Would love to have your support. Certainly want your vote, and I look forward to working with you down the road here. Colby and I have got to run to our next appointment. But I do want to say thank you to everybody for taking the time to show me around. You know, what I love when I get out and go around the state is to see communities like this where people clearly love their home, they clearly love their town. I mean, that is really makes you feel good about a place, and I've seen that over and over again in the last day, where people like where they're from, they care about it, they care about the future, and they want to build on the future. So I congratulate you on that. And again, thank you, and I'm sorry I'm going to miss dessert. Thanks.